Hello and welcome to this live chat session, viewers. Avon Girom says that he is the first one to join today's live chat session. AG123 Becky Lima says Amhara is winner. Hassan Abba Teba says welcome Sajid. Welcome Hassan. Hinok Silashi. Welcome, Sajid. If Ethiopian government decides to not enter into Tigray and closed all lines, what will be the answer from international community? Okay, I'll talk about that. Peter says hello. Michael SFA hello. Vedi Gabre. Dad's only sons too. Deng says, nice to see you, Sajid, and may God bless you and Merry Christmas to you as well. Red Fox Belly, welcome, brother, says. Thank you. Let me respond to two questions which were sent to me on Patreon by Federico Rogai, one of my patrons as well. He wanted me to respond to two questions. He asked firstly about Agao Liberation Front. He says, now when TDF has withdrawn, what will Agao Liberation Front do? Can it be a challenge? Can it pose a challenge to Amhara regional government and Ethiopian federal government? We have seen very tall claims from this group. The group was claiming that it had thousands of trained fighters. But obviously, it had very strong backing of Tigray Defense Force. Since TDF has withdrawn in an abrupt manner, it would demoralize Agao Liberation Front as well, I think. This withdrawal would be a serious blow to Agao Liberation Front. It would be very difficult for Agao Liberation Front to continue its activities now in Wog Himra zone. We'll have to wait a little and see who will lead this group now, what will be the organizational strength of this group, because now TDF has withdrawn. Now we'll have to wait and see about real leadership. Does this group have any real leadership? We'll have to wait and see. And secondly, Federico asked about exchange of prisoners between Tigray and Ethiopian government. So far, no statements from Tigray government or Ethiopian government about exchange of prisoners. I think Ethiopian government will not agree to this exchange. Ethiopian government is not disclosing about how many Tigray soldiers are in custody. Tigray does have thousands of EF soldiers as captives. Ethiopian government is not very transparent about that. So far, no statements about exchange of prisoners from both sides. Now, let me respond to questions received. Henok was asking about if Ethiopian government decide not to enter Tigray and it closed all boundaries, what will international community do? International community will not do much. Ethiopian government, I think, will tighten the siege of Tigray. I think it will not step back. Ethiopian government, Amhara regional government, Amhara forces, Eritreans, they'll try to tighten the siege. Aid will not be allowed to enter Tigray. This is my analysis. I hope, I pray that it won't happen. I think it will happen. Siege will be tightened. International community will keep on delivering statements. Tigray is on its own. What happened to UN Security Council session? Yes, we were told that on Monday, UN Security Council would meet a special session on Ethiopia after Debretsion Gebremichael wrote a letter to Antonio Guterres. But no news after that. So what happened? What what we have learned through some contexts is that UN is meeting, but it's meeting behind the closed doors. It's not making its meetings public, because if things are in public, then it becomes difficult for the parties to accept the recommendations which are in public, which are announced in public. So that is why reportedly UN is holding some in camera, behind the closed door sessions. We might see some statements. UN wants to proceed behind the scenes, behind the closed doors now. But so far, no significant development from the UN. Red Fox is asking about TDF OLA alliance after TDF's withdrawal. Alliance has been broken. Now there is no alliance on the ground. Now TDF is on its own, OLA is on its own. No alliance between them. They'll fight in their own battlefields, on their own soil. Now the alliance wouldn't be a game changer, because they're no more on the ground joined. Abiy and PP leaders should declare a truce and allow aid into Tigray for Christmas. Yes, I agree with that. Ethiopian government, Amhara leaders should show large-heartedness. If you are Prime Minister of Ethiopia, you should have the heart of the Prime Minister as well. You have more responsibility than Tigray leaders, because you are leading the country. So PM Abiy should announce some concessions, I think. That is the only way to come out of this crisis. Otherwise, today you have drones, you keep attacking them. Tomorrow they might have some weapons too. They'll attack you. The vicious cycle will go on. So if you take a high moral ground today and announce a ceasefire, allow aid into Tigray, I think you'll be in a better position locally, nationally, internationally. Civil engineering has sent one question 4 times. Can you tell us the ENDF second entrance to Tigray in terms of capability? Because all the ENDF troops are new trainers. They're not entering Tigray. They have made it clear. If you have watched my today's video, title of which was that new military strategy of ENDF and Amhara forces, I elaborated on the strategy of ENDF in today's video. Ethiopian National Defense Force and Amhara forces will not enter major towns and cities of Tigray like Mekelle, Axom, Shire. No. They'll tighten the siege. They'll try to narrow the circle of the siege. From the east, west, north, and south, they'll gradually, slowly, steadily move towards Tigray. They'll try to make the siege tighter. They'll continue drone strikes, airstrikes on TDF, TPLF leadership. They'll not allow Tigray government to function smoothly. And they'll try to make people of Tigray turn against TPLF. They want Tigray minus TPLF. ENDF and Amhara leaders, they want Tigray minus TPLF, Tigray minus TDF. So I hope and I pray that they won't adopt this strategy, because it will lead to continuation of this conflict. ENDF will not enter Tigray. It won't launch a full-scale attack on Tigray, I think. Someone is asking, but which places do you think will be the key nodes of siege tightening by ENDF and possibly RRTN's relaxation? Haver is asking. Several places. They'll try to recapture southern Tigray, Koram Elamata first. And then all areas to the west of Takeday River, they'll try to take them as well. Mesabre, Ediarke is already in Amhara region. I think they have it back. They'll try to take Mesabre as well. So they'll try to push TDF to the east of Takeday River. From western Tigray and from north Gonda, they'll try to push TDF back into the areas to the east of Takeday. Then from the south, they'll move towards Tigray along Sikota, Chile Road. They'll try to take southern Tigray to Koram Elamata. So from all sides, they'll tighten the siege. Will TDF march towards West Tigray? Yes, important question. But now TDF is defending what it has. Because yesterday, Getachew confirmed attack on 3 places in Tigray. The 3 places are not Western Tigray. They are other places like Abala, like Koram, Elamata, Mesabre could be, and Sikota, Koram, Sikota, Chile roads. So TDF is now trying to defend whatever it has. If it can defend, then it might move towards Western Tigray. It will not move towards Western Tigray now because it's fighting to defend the places like Koram, Elamata, places to the west of Abala. Mesabre could be a new battlefront as well. Because the siege approach, how long you think will this war last? This war can end now if Ethiopian government sincerely starts dialogue and offers peace to Tigray government. But if it decides to tighten the siege, then the war will go on. Then you will not be in a position to say when it will end. Do you think Tigray people will rise against TPLF? No, I don't think so. Why? Because Tigrayans have been targeted in Addis Ababa, in Oromia, in Amhara. So they don't have a choice left, honestly. It was a bad move by Ethiopian government to target Tigrayans. They were arrested, they were detained. Confirmation from Ethiopian Rights Commission, human rights bodies, and some other international independent sources. Tigrayans were detained. So if they leave, if they decide to discard TPLF, which options will they have? At least TPLF is fighting for them. I don't think that they'll ditch TPLF. They'll back TPLF. You can't separate TPLF and Tigrayans. It's difficult. The approach is faulty. This approach should not be taken by, it should be adopted by Ethiopian government. You can try to prop up some political parties, but the political parties will not have any standing on the ground. You try to install an interim setup in Tigray, Ethiopian government. Where is this setup? In fact, many members, part of the setup, they were killed. Tigray fighters attacked them. So once again, if you prop up a new party here, it will come under attack. So I don't think that common Tigrayans in Tigray will abandon TPLF. I think they'll stand behind TPLF. Sajid, if there was no drone, do you think TDF would be in Addis Mehari vendor right says? Yes. Had there been no drones, TDF would have been close to Addis Ababa. No doubt about that. Drones were the game changer. Otherwise, we saw massive attacks, human wave attacks, in the months between July and November, but nothing changed. TDF kept on advancing. We saw air strikes as well. Nothing changed. They suffered losses in Afar. They were continuously advancing in Amhara. Once drones were introduced, then it became impossible for TDF to move on. So that is why drones were the game changer. If somehow TDF can find a way to neutralize this drone threat, once again we can see TDF move back into Amhara region. Afar was a difficult front. Even without drones, it would have been difficult for TDF to keep on advancing. Someone is saying, is Tigray going to become part of Eritrea? Why would they want to join Eritrea? Someone is saying, yes. Someone is asking about TDF as anti-drone weapons. I saw a tweet by someone, I won't name him, and he says TDF has got anti-drone weapons. No country has effective anti-drone weapons, viewers. Even developed countries find it difficult to counter the drone threat. It's difficult. I don't think Tigray would be in a position to have any such weapons effective against TB2s or Winglongs. Tigray can make adjustments. TDF can make adjustments on the ground. It can try to stop delivery of drones to Ethiopian government. To think that TDF would have anti-drone weapons, it's like giving false hope to Tigray Defense Force. There are no effective anti-drone weapons available for Tigray to have. Tigray can have drones if it wants to counter drones, but how to acquire these drones? To counter a drone, you need a drone. Tigray is not in a position to acquire drones from Turkey or some other countries. Tigray can target the places where drones are parked, where they are being deployed. But now TDF is far away from those places. Harar Mada is reportedly the center of the drone deployment. TDF is far away from here now. OLA is not in a position to reach and challenge those places. So maybe that analyst who tweeted can elaborate upon that. But based upon my experience, I don't see Tigray having any anti-drone weaponry. Would the West help TPLF with drones? So far, West or the US has not helped Tigray militarily. We don't have any credible evidence. Ethiopian government has been claiming that Tigray Defense Force was using communication equipment, foreign fighters were fighting, but we never saw some credible evidence. Tigray fought on its own. The weaponry which Tigray had, Tigray took it from Ethiopian government forces. Tigray Defense Force was on its own. It did not receive any significant help from anyone. It will stay the same, I think. TDF, when you are under a siege, it's difficult to get anything from outside. How will the outside assistance reach Tigray? Question is, how will outside assistance reach Tigray? To the east, there is Afar. To the south, Amhara. To the west, Southern Tigray, Western Tigray with Eritreans and Amhara forces inside to the North Eritreans. How will the aid, how will the assistance reach Tigray? Impossible almost. What's the future of ethnic federalism? My position very clear. I have been saying that ethnic federalism has seen its days. Its days are gone. It has not led to harmony and ethnic cohesion in Ethiopia. Ethiopia now will have to make a new start. Which type of new political system Ethiopia should have, that Ethiopians will have to decide. Political dialogue announced by Ethiopian government is a good step if it is done in a sincere manner. Ethiopia should now work on some new political system to rule this country. Ethnic federalism has failed. And creation of regions along ethnic lines, creation of states along ethnic lines, it's not a good experiment and a good experience for the people. It leads to hatred. It leads to superiority complex about your race, about your ethnic group. That is what we are seeing here. So we might see a new start. Let's see. Sajid, is endf in quorum? Someone is asking. I shared some pictures of endf from Elamata, I think, which were being shared by some Amhara and Ethiopian government-backed news sources. Reportedly, some of the units were moving towards quorum. They were between Elamata and quorum. But we have no confirmation that quorum has been retaken by Ethiopian government forces and Amhara forces. But they are trying to move towards quorum. We can say that Amhara region wants southern Tigray back. Again, Amhara region wants both western Tigray, southern Tigray, Quorum, Elamata, Humra, Volgai, Sagade, Dansha. So, when you have so many territorial ambitions, how can you expect that Tigray would just stay silent and agree to the demands of Ethiopian government of disarming? Now we're hearing that TDF should be disarmed, that it should surrender. It's not going to happen. They'll keep on fighting. They'll die fighting. They won't surrender. They won't be disarmed. That's not the way to move forward. Do you think endf has learned its lessons that it made mistakes in the withdrawal, which happened in June? That is why endf is not entering Tigray now. Once you enter, entering is easy. Withdrawal is difficult. So that is why they're not entering Tigray now. They'll tighten the sea, they'll conduct drone strikes, airstrikes, and they'll try to make the government of Tigray dysfunctional. But they won't enter the whole of Tigray. Please answer if Tigray will stay united or not. I need to know. Someone is asking. Tigray is united. Tigray has no option but to be united. Because actions against common Tigrayans by Ethiopian government have terrified Tigrayans. So they have no option but to remain united, but to stand behind Tigray People Liberation Front, Tigray Defense Force. I have said earlier that I don't see Tigrayans abandoning TPLF. Someone, Ragasa, is saying that Amharas, in collaboration with Asayas, are trying to dismantle constitution. There is nothing wrong with having debates about constitution. If constitution is not leading to stability in Ethiopia, there is nothing wrong with having a dialogue. It does not mean that constitution is being dismantled. No, things always need improvement. Constitutions, laws need improvement as well. If all ethnic groups want to change the constitution, they have a right to do that. Why are USA, China supporting ENDF clearly? So why US are under the shadow? What is your question? I could not understand. USA is not supporting ENDF openly. Is it a good idea to remove Article 39? I don't know, but it will come under discussion. Ethiopian government says it will come under discussion. At least discussion is going to start about this article. So either you'll have to implement this article or remove it. There is no point in retaining this article as part of constitution if you cannot implement it. Implementation does not seem likely. New states do not seem likely to me. Because entire world, African Union, neighbors, all are against new states, especially along ethnic lines. If new Tigray country is established, if new Oromia country is established, it will lead to several states along ethnic lines in the Horn of Africa, in Africa as well. So other African leaders, they are very cautious as well. They do not want the creation of a state along ethnic lines. That is why I think the article could be removed or changed. It could be altered as well. Why is USA not acting against Eritrea? USA has already done what it could do. It has imposed sanctions on Eritrean Chief of Staff. Eritrean government already under sanctions for years. So that is what US can do. Don't expect the US would attack Eritrea. There are several countries which are openly against the US. And US could not do anything. US can only impose sanctions, and Eritrean government is already under sanctions. Magnetism says it's over surrender. Magnetism is a die-hard supporter of Ethiopian government. I know. No, it won't happen, magnetism. You'll keep on demanding, you keep on saying, no, we're going to surrender here. You can solve your problem at the table, not by telling them to surrender. And it's not over. People say it's over. No, it's not over. Remember, Tigray fought in Tambian. Tigray fought in Tambian when when no one knew from where supplies were coming. Eritreans in control of Adigrat, Axom. Ethiopian government forces were in Mekele, Amhara forces in Humra, Volkayet. Back then, Tigray Defense Force managed to survive. Now they are in better position. And you're saying it's over. No, it's not over. Queen Rose is saying that TPLF is inventor of ethnic politics. You are supporting TPLF. If TPLF is inventor of ethnic politics, it does not mean that you should decimate TPLF. Change this ethnic politics. You have constitution. You can amend it. You can talk about that. Talk to TPLF. Sit together. Why is that just you just want to decimate the other party? You cannot end this conflict by decimating, by destroying the other party. If you are against their policies, don't implement them. Change those policies, make new policies, make new constitution. Let's see, you are meeting now for a dialogue. Which type of constitution will you make? That's open. That remains to be seen. Make a better constitution. Make some better policies. Then challenge them. If you leave TPLF out of this mess which we are seeing now, even without TPLF, are Amharas, Oromos living happily side by side? What's happening between Amhara region and Benishangal Gumas? You have your problems even without TPLF. You need a new start. Don't blame TPLF for each and every wrong in Ethiopia. Yes, they have done wrongs. Their politics, their governance could not deliver. But now you need to present a better model for them, not to decimate them, that you should advocate. What is your source of information? Sav says. My source of information is you. All of you talking to me. We're discussing, we're talking. All day I keep on talking to people, Amharas, Oromos, Tigrayans, journalists, activists, military persons, all stay in touch with me. I'm lucky, very lucky that people from all sides stay in touch with me, and we discuss things very openly. And I'm learning. I am learning. With every passing day, I learn more about Ethiopia. But now I get updates faster than the people in Addis Ababa. So luckily, I have evolved this sort of system that I receive updates quicker and earlier than people who are in Ethiopia. Can the war be stopped? Yes, it can be stopped. Just an announcement from Ethiopian government, Amhara leaders of reconciliation. It will come to an end. Now, the speed of coming questions is very fast. Do you think political prisoners will be released? Yes, important question. Release of political prisoners, especially Oromo leaders Jawar, Bakle, Hamza, Dawood Ibsa. We have received some reports that they could be released. Mustafa Umar's statement and some other sources indicated that there was engagement between these prisoners and some Ethiopian government-backed elders. So they could be released before the start of national dialogue. The topic of today's session was new plans of TDF and endf. But questions are off topic mostly. ENDF's plan, I clarified in a video. ENDF and Amhara forces will tighten the siege from all sides. They'll keep the pressure upon Tigray leadership, TDF. They won't allow free delivery of aid to Tigray. They'll try to create a Tigray minus TPLF, Tigray minus TDF. Uh, Tigray Defense Force will try to say whatever it has because pressure is coming upon southern Tigray, upon eastern Tigray as well, and upon the areas to the west of Takeday. So TDF will have to defend whatever is left under its control. Important question for TDF to decide, important point is that will they remain in big cities and defend Tigray, or will they have to retreat towards mountainous areas like central Tigray? That would be an important decision for them to make. If Ethiopian Air Force continues its drone strikes, its strikes on Mekelle, then Tigray government will become dysfunctional. How will this government function? Sajid, why you support TPLF while TPLF does not want ethnic politics to be on the table? I don't support TPLF. I made clear what my position is about ethnic politics. Whatever TPLF is doing, it's their own problem. I am not supporting any ethnic-based politics. What role will Afar forces have? Afar forces underrated. They were underrated. Afar forces were never. We never imagined in June that Afar would play such a key role. Losses in Afar started the dominoes effect, which led to TDF's withdrawal all the way from Amhara far back into Tigray. Afar was a difficult terrain for TDF. TDF could not fight on Afar soil. And Afar's helped Amhara. Amhara region owes to Afar, I think. Yes, drones as well, but the way Afars helped Amhara, without the help of Afars, Amharas would have been under more pressure. Now their role is critical from the east, along with Eritreans. They can put pressure upon Tigray, but they are effective on their own home soil. If they enter Tigray, they'll become vulnerable. Tigray fighters are very skilled in mountainous areas. They know how to fight in mountains. Afars are masters of fighting on their own soil. So they'll defend the territory, but they might not be effective in Tigray. Important question. Kidan MG says, can Ethiopia afford economically to continue this war? Ethiopian economy is in shambles, we know that. But the problem is that they say it's a war for their survival. Ethiopian diaspora is helping them economically, financially. So I don't think money would be a problem for Ethiopian government. Diaspora will keep on funding this campaign. TPLF has made enemies, I would say, not only in Ethiopia but abroad as well. So money wouldn't be a big problem for Ethiopian government. Even those countries with destroyed economies, they continue fighting because they want to continue their campaign. So money would not be a problem for Ethiopian government. Diaspora will keep on supporting Ethiopian government. And now, if the war is centered in Tigray and you don't launch a full-scale invasion of Tigray, then you will need limited resources. Ethiopian government is not going to launch a full-scale invasion of Tigray now. So that is why it won't need huge amounts of money. It will need much lesser amounts of money than it needed in November 2020. Viewers, 42 minutes have passed. I think we should now end this live chat session. Thank you for joining. It was a special session for you. Christmas is coming. Let's hope and pray that better sense prevails, especially on Ethiopian government side. Amhara leaders, Ethiopian government should think of making a new start. If they decide to go after TPLF and TDF, the war will go on in one form or the other. It's the right time to announce truce, to announce ceasefire. It would put you on higher moral ground. Ethiopian government, Amhara government will be on higher moral ground if it announces ceasefire now. Michael SFA says, thanks for not answering any of my questions. I did not read any of your question. I could not read any of your questions. You can send your questions to me by email. I'll try to respond. Thanks for watching, viewers. See you in the next live chat session. Bye bye.